Jay and Lipson were like fire and water, different but inseparable. Their friendship had lasted almost 10 years. Jay was the calm one, loyal, focused, and emotionally disciplined. The type of man who could love one woman for 10 years without cheating. Lipton, on the other hand, was loud, unpredictable, and spontaneous. He was good looking and knew how to speak to a woman like poetry. He didn't mean to be a heartbreaker. He just never stayed too long in a relationship. Jay always said, Lipton, I can't wait to see you fall hard one day. I can't wait for that woman who would capture your heart and teach you what real love is. Lipsy would always laugh at that. Not me, bro. I just want to enjoy life. Why would I stick to one woman when God has blessed us with many of them? Jay would nod his head. May God help you, bro. What Lipson did not know was that life had its own script and he was about to walk straight into it. It was a Friday night party, nothing serious, just music, drinks, laughter, and strangers turning into conversations. Lipson wasn't in the mood to flirt. He just came to hang out. That was when he noticed her. She wore no heavy makeup, just a beautiful lady full of confidence. She danced with her friends, but something about her was grounded and peaceful. They met at a drink table. Water? She asked, holding a bottle. Do I look like someone that drinks water at a party? Lipson taste. She smiled. Then you're probably not serious. I'm not, he said, but I might be for you. That was how it all started. No names, no deep conversations, just banter. The next day, he found her on Instagram through a mutual tag. Her name is Grace. They started texting. Their chats turned into calls. Their calls turned into lunch dates. The lunch dates turned into late night drives. They never put a label on it. They weren't in a relationship, but it felt like one. Lipson just saw her as someone to spend time with. Grace didn't rush things. She really liked him. She wasn't easily impressed. That was what made Lipson stay. She was different. She challenged him, called out his lies, ignored his sweet mouth, and forced him to show substance. When he tried his usual games, she would say, Don't use that smooth talk with me. I'm not your Instagram girl. That made Lipson respect her even more, and slowly, without him realizing it, he started changing for her. No more constant flirting, no random girls. He found himself looking forward to just her. She made him nervous to do things he would usually do before. He later confessed to her of his love and decided they don't rush things. Grace was so happy. He had assured her of his love and his presence in her life. She could now call him her boyfriend, something she wasn't sure of earlier. They kept it private. Both of them enjoyed the peace of it. No drama, no rush. Weeks later, Lipsing was at Jay's place as usual. They were watching a movie and arguing over the movie. Jay left briefly to attend to a call, and then the door opened. Grace walked in casually holding a spare key and a shopping bag. Lipson stood up immediately, their eyes locked. Grace, Lipson. Jay walked in and smiled. Oh, you two are meeting for the first time. My baby sister, Grace. This is my best friend, the one I've always been talking about. Big man. They both forced a smile. Nice to meet you, Grace, said pretending. Lipson shook his hands, his palms slightly sweating. It's a pleasure. Jay didn't notice the tension, but the room was spinning. That night, Lipson couldn't sleep. Jay always spoke so lovely about his sister. He began remembering the things he always tells him. Grace is the only family I have. She deserves the best man in the whole world, a man who will truly love and respect her. Whoever dates her must meet me first. Those thoughts were messing with his brain. He never knew Jay was Grace's brother. Although she told him she had a brother, Lipson was disturbed, unsure of what to do, and certain his friend would never approve of them, knowing the life he lived. Lipson called Grace immediately. Why didn't you tell me you were Jay's sister? I didn't know you both knew each other, she shot back. You never mentioned him either. They were both right. It was an honest mistake. I need to see you tomorrow at my place, Grace. Lipson pleaded. The next day, Grace was in Lipson's house. They both talked about their relationship and how it wouldn't work, being that Jay would never approve of it and he would be so mad at him. Grace was speechless for a moment and asked why, and he confessed to her the kind of life he lived before he met her. Grace understood him and confessed she had seen changes in him recently. Then she asked that they don't sneak anymore and just tell Jay the truth about them. But Lipson refused, scared of what might happen to him if he tells Jay that he is seeing the only sister he never stops talking about. He asked that they give themselves some break to think about it. Grace felt so sad about the decision. Lipson started avoiding Grace. He ignored her text, declined her calls, stopped replying to her memes and midnight voice notes. She sent one message. You promised you weren't like other men. That's one hit hard. He wasn't avoiding her because he didn't care. He was running because he did. Grace meant everything to her brother. And after a long time of thinking, putting one or two things together, Lipson eventually called her and said, they are done. It's for the best. Grace cried and cried. Weeks passed, Lipson stayed away, but he missed her every day. Jay noticed his sister wasn't picking or returning his calls. He went to her house and found her in a way that appeared she was mourning. She looked so unkempt, her room untidy, lost a lot of weight. Jay was sad and asked what the problem was, but she said no word but cry. He helped her freshen up, clean the house, then took her to his house to take good care of her. That evening, Jay couldn't sleep. He kept watching over his sister and wondering what could be the problem. When she later said something, all he could hear is, he left me, and she was crying bitterly. Jay was so angry and wished he could say his name so he could teach the person a bitter lesson. After a few days of no calls from Lipson, Jay was wondering where Lipson would be, because there'd been no weekend they never hung out together. But 2 weeks passed, and he kept mute. He called Lipson, and Lipson came up with the excuse of him being out of town, which Jay believed. After a week, Grace decided to tell her brother the truth and beg him for his approval. Since it's because of him, Lipson chickened out. She went to her brother's room that night and said, I need to tell you something, brother. What is it? Jay asked. She began. I was seeing someone who is special to me, someone who means the whole world to me, but he left me because of you. Jay was confused. How? Does he know me? She continued. I didn't know he was your friend, and I didn't know I was your sister either, until recently. Jay raised his eyebrows. Who? Lipson, she stammered. Lipson? What? Jay was torn between shock and anger. What do you mean you are in love with Lipson? How did you know him? Grace explained everything to her brother, how they met, how she didn't know, and how it wasn't planned. She told him Lipson had ended things because of his respect for him. Jay was quiet and told her, you can never love Lipson. Lipson is a Casanova. Lipson doesn't believe in love. He obviously used you and has dumped you. That bastard, Jay said angrily. I trusted that guy with everything, and he was doing this behind my back. Jay was so furious, not because of the relationship, but because he was hiding it from him. They talked about everything: work, family, relationship, name it. They believed if Lipson didn't know, why then did he hide it from him? The next day, Jay went to Lipson's workplace and found him there. He called him names, then almost fought him, but Lipson didn't raise a hand. I know you will hate me, man, when you eventually find out. You think I'm the worst person for your sister, but guy, I love Grace so much. Your sister changed me. She made me better. She made me believe in love. I've stopped living the life I used to just because of Grace. Just shouted. Don't use my sister to cover your player behavior. She's not a game to you. Lipson was weak. She's not a game to me, and she would never be. She's the first woman I've ever cared about, and I ended things with her to protect our friendship. Not that I can't fight for her, not that I don't love her, but because I choose to respect you, Jay. Jay walked away. And for the first time in 10 years, they had their first big blowout. They didn't speak to each other for over a month. Grace couldn't bear it anymore. She spoke to her brother again, and this time around, from her heart, with tears. I remember when mom was on her sick bed. You promised that you would take care of me. You said you'd never want to see me cry but smile as long as you are alive. But now I see that those promises were mere talks. You never meant them. You don't care. You see me like this for weeks and you act like you're not seeing me. Do my happiness even mean anything to you? You're the same person that talks about big man as you always call him. Never knew his real name was Lipson. How much of a friend he is, even if his weak side is womanizing. But you still loved him regardless. You always talk about how good and reliable he is. You always talk about loyalty. He was loyal to you, brother. He broke up with me because of he respected you. How many men would do that to their friends? He chose you over me, but no, it's you all the time. Always selfish. You know what? I don't even care anymore. And she walked out. For the first time, Grace spoke to her brother in a harsh manner. Jay couldn't believe his ears, the words that came out of his sister's mouth. How could she? He started to think maybe he was too hard on her. That same day, he invited Lipson over for a sit down. No shouting, just honesty. I called you here to speak to you, not for you, not for our friendship, but for my sister. I love my sister, and you know I don't joke with her. She's the only one I've got. If you ever hurt her, I'll come for you. I don't ever want to see her cry. I want her safe. I promise, Lipson said. You have my words. I would never hurt her because I love her so much. Jay apologized for his actions and they both hugged it out and moved on. Lipson and Grace got back together, and this time it was public, no hiding, no secrets. Jay was in awe of how Lipson cherished his sister and took care of her. I never knew you were a lover boy. Wow. Thank you for loving my sister. Lipson smiled. Well, she brought it out of me. That day onward, Lipson and Jay's friendship flourished. And Lipson and Grace's relationship became the envy of everyone. Their love blossomed beautifully. Love can find anyone. What matters is truth, change, and the courage to do the right things. Lipson changed, Grace believed, and Jay forgave. And in the end, love won. Thank you so very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please do also like, share, and subscribe to the channel at Substance TV. See you guys in my next video. Until then, stay splendid.